Well, welcome to our Monday night community night. If you haven't been on this call before, we actually started a community coffee chat on Saturday mornings, and that was Saturday mornings at 8:30 in the morning. We have moved that. Our community time on Monday nights had gotten very large with the other groups, and our hope is that we can continue with kind of a small group setting where you will feel more comfortable in being able to open it up and share, and you'll be able to get familiar with the faces that you're seeing on the screen, and just know that we are really a community of people that are all just focused on getting healthy together, and that's truly our goal. One of the things I would like to share is that community night will be led by many different coaches. And that's one of the beautiful things about this community is that a lot of times that fifth component is really you stepping into becoming a coach if you're not already. And so we just want you to know that this is a great place to grow and to learn together. So this call will be led by many different coaches, and you'll, I'm sure, see your coach on here from time to time sharing. And we just want you to know that we're here to support you and encourage you on your health journey. So tonight I'm going to turn it over to Noelle and Jason. They are going to be leading us in element 17. I do want you to know though, if you're jumping in on element 17 and you're like, wow, I missed elements 1 through 16, all of those have been recorded, and we do have them in a YouTube channel that we will share with you, so that if you'd like to jump on one of those recordings of elements 1 through 16, you'll be able to do so. I see a quick question, Ronnie. I think Ronnie is new to our group. Do you have your hand raised?
Now, he was saying he couldn't hear us. He put in the chat.
Oh, he can't hear us. All right. Ronnie, see if your speaker on your computer is on. You might want to check there. And then I'll go on into the chat and let Noelle and Jason take it away, and we'll see if we can't help Ronnie figure that out. All right.
Wonderful. Thank you, Kelly. And thank you to each one of you who have joined us tonight. As Kelly was stating, this is element number 17, and it's out of our life book. So if you have your book handy, we will be doing a little bit in it this evening. So if you don't have it, take a minute, go grab it. If you don't have the hard copy and you are doing the like a podcast type, that's just fine. Grab a notebook that you want to take notes in each week and do some of these exercises with us, because there are places to set goals and grade yourself on how you're doing on things and that type of thing, and you can still do that, you know, in your own type of journaling. So I don't want you to think that you're not part of it. But first, I wanted to start off with last week, Darlene led us so beautifully in about the topic was about addictive foods. And I know that there are a few people who had like that aha moment or that takeaway from last week. And I just wanted to give the opportunity, since what we're trying to do here in this community chat is chat and have it where we learn from each other. If anybody is willing to share something they took away from last week that they applied or that they realized about themselves or anything like that, feel free. Now's the time to pop off a mute and share with us, you know, what it is, the takeaway or two that you might have had. Anybody out there willing to share what they've learned?
I'll hop in, Noelle, if that's okay, because I've been doggy sitting my grand dog, and the house is filled with M&Ms, cookies, and all kinds of stuff. And I cannot lie, my hand went in that M&M jar more than a couple of times. But I realized what was kind of pulling me into the sweet zone was the coffee. I had a cup of coffee with me, and I like sweets and that bitter combined. So when I realized that, I told myself, you're not going over there with coffee anymore, and you're going to stay out of that closet that has the M&Ms in it. So just making the connection of the sweet and the bitter together made me kind of realize that that's a trigger for me.
That's amazing that you put that together, and you know, that you could put that correlate that as one to the other, and that then you, it sounds like you might have used stop, challenge, and choose to say, okay, what are, you know, is this serving my goals? You know, do I want to, you know, continue to move forward in these choices and not hit my goals, or how is it supporting me on the way to my goals? And so if you're not familiar with Stop, Challenge, and Choose, it's a great tool, and reach out to your health coach and we can point you in the right direction of where to find that tool, because you have a 17-second window to kind of thwart that plan. And if you can break up with that idea in that window, and we give you some ideas in tools on how to do that, then you can often not give in. Sometimes you still do, sometimes you still make the choice, but overall, you get better and better the more you practice it. So thank you so much, Cheryl. That was great. Who else would like to share?
Hey, Noelle, it's John
Hey,
here in San Diego. And I didn't hear what the question was. Can you hear me?
Uh-huh.
Anyhow, I did not hear what the question was because I was bouncing out of this convention. But I would just share a win, if I could, I guess. Yesterday on the flight out, it was about a 4-hour flight. And I probably drank 10 of these little water bottles. That lady just kept bringing them and bringing them. And she said, what are you doing? Are you on some kind of medicines? I said, no, I'm on a health program. I have to drink a lot of water. So nonetheless, she was used to me coming up front in the plane, and I just had a little fun with it. So, that's part of this journey of this group of people, these Optavian crazy people. It's, you just find some joy in the journey, or you can. So anyhow.
That's awesome, John. That ties perfectly in with what we're talking about, which is staying away from the addictive sugary foods. So instead of being able to eat the Biscoffs or whatever they were handing you, you were just pounding down the water, it sounds like to me. My question is, did they charge you a la carte for each bottle? Like, was your bill $400 just for water alone? Since, that's how they do things now?
No, I must confess. My wife, since she's gotten all around you Optavia people and higher level thinkers, she likes to run up in that first class section now. So.
Gotcha.
Anyhow.
Well, enjoy your trip. They're getting to go to Hawaii for 30 years, right, John?
Yeah, 30 years last week, August 1st. So that's
congratulations.
Awesome. And, thanks for leading us tonight. And like I said, I'm going to probably mute here in a minute because I've got a group to meet with, but so glad we got all this going here.
Thank you. We appreciate you jumping on. Awesome. Anybody else want to add in? We have time for one more. Okay, I'll let you think about it. And if you want to come off towards the end, you're welcome to. We have the number 17. We're going to pop up our PowerPoint. I have my handy IT guy with me here. Isn't he cute? And we are doing, obviously, how do you become a perpetual motion machine? You don't know how many times I practiced that and still messed it up. But this one is really a fun one for me because I can admit I was, 5.5 months into program and probably about 50 pounds down by that point. And all of a sudden one day it dawned on me, man, maybe I should take a walk. I hadn't decided as far as the day-to-day topic of a formal exercise plan went, that what to do. But I learned when I went through this element that I was really already doing a lot of it with my daily motion. So it's, kind of fun. I love this quote from Dr. A. And he says, by making small daily choices, you can win the race of weight management, and you can set the stage for exercise at your own pace. And that's the beauty of Optavia, is you can do your entire program without exercising. And if you have a physical limitation that you can't, you can still be successful in this journey. And then on the flip side of that, if and when the time is ready, then you can start creating a healthier pattern in the sense of the exercising. And we're going to break it down a little bit for you on the 2 different ways that count in this journey. So what's the difference between physical activity and exercise? I'm so glad you asked. Thank you for that. As you can see here, with movement, it's 3/4 of the day, of what we do. And then exercise is just one small sliver. And so that formal quote exercise, that's okay. That formal exercise is going to be such a small piece of the whole pie in comparison to the large picture. So when you talk about physical activity, it's literally your daily stuff, like your maybe walking the dog, carrying the laundry basket, loading, unloading the dishwasher, folding the towels and putting them away, whatever it may be. It's definitely not a planned, scheduled physical activity that you're going to go exercise per se, but it actually makes up the majority of your day. It happens anytime your body's in motion, and the exercise is the planned one where you're getting out and doing vigorous, you're vigorously exercising, you're intentionally building muscle and burning calories, that type of thing. And it is generally done, just for short periods of time. Thank goodness, right? And we don't have to sit around doing that all day long. The neat thing I want to talk about here is next is the exact word neat, where it's the non-exercise activity thermogenesis. And that is, we have conscious and unconscious movements, even smiling, even things where we're using muscles that we're not aware of that we're using, all of it counts in this type of thing. And you don't realize throughout your day how much of it you're actually doing, which is a wonderful thing, because some of it is so unconscious that it's just what you do to have to walk to the car or to get dressed, or all the things when your body is in motion. On the eat portion, that's your exercise, your activity thermogenesis, and this is the one that's your planned one. So what I'm going to ask everybody to do is we're going to stop sharing the screen for just a second, and if you're physically able to, I want everybody just to stand up. Okay, so up, I'm gonna back up. And I have on my Under Armour and my leggings. And we're just gonna stand here for a minute and maybe just move or take a couple steps of a walk. And this is the example of the NEAT, right? We're just kind of burning calories. If I were to, pick up this chair and move it, I'm just kind of pretending it's a laundry basket, that moving around, and that's your NEAT. Okay, so now if I said, okay, those who are able to either march in place or let's do 10 jumping jacks. Okay, so here we go. Ready? I'm doing jumping jacks for you guys. Jason's laughing at me. Okay, so everybody pop a squat. All right, that would be more of the exercise and the planned type of vigorous, that we're referring to here in this example. So thank you for participating and humoring me, coming along for the ride. So we're going to go back to our PowerPoint. I'll jump back into it for a minute here. In your book on page 42 to 347, if you will go there, if you have your book with you, it's going to give us the opportunity here, exactly where Jason is, for your at home and at work. Did we skip one, or is that the next one? Nope. Okay, so that one. So I thought in the book it was the other way around. But anyways, we're going to give you a minute, grab a pen or a pencil, and start to check off the ones that you do daily for your NEAT. Okay, so take a minute and just go ahead and do that. And if you don't have the book, you can write down the ones that you do, or the flip side, you can write down the ones that you don't, that you think you can incorporate.
And I think, Noelle, I'm sorry to interrupt. I think that's on page 339.
Or what did I say? Oh, sorry. Yeah, the 6 S's is the next part. Sorry. Thank you, Cheryl, I have 2 different sets of pages written down. You're absolutely right. So thank you. Starting on page 339 is where you check these off. Appreciate that. So these are the at home. And then you'll have the at work. And then the on the go. So take a minute to do all 3 sections, if you would. How's it going for everybody? Okay, so are you surprised at how many you do, or do you feel you could do more? Just, that's kind of a rhetorical question. You don't necessarily have to answer it. at the end, I'll give you a minute, I'll give you a few minutes opportunity to kind of share which ones you're rocking. And then we're going to set some goals for which type of things we could incorporate. Okay, so I'll give you one more minute to finish that up. Okay, all right. So we finished that section, and now we're going to go to the 6 S's here that we see: the stance, standing, strolling, stairs, samba, and switch. And this is what actually starts on page 342 to 347. And when I was talking through these earlier and kind of reading about them, if you haven't had a chance to do that, I would encourage you to read through them. We don't have time to go through each one of them now. But when you get a chance to, I would definitely encourage you to do so. And the one that I wasn't sure about was the switch. And I was talking with Kelly actually earlier today, and I said, okay, I'm totally drawn a blank. What's the switch? I got to go back through that. And it's, let me go to that page number real quickly. It's the very last one. Here we go. So that's, yeah, we're going to look at 347 real quickly. And then we're going to look at the definition for the switch. And it's when you're switching from doing things by hand instead of by machine. And I thought that was really interesting, as maybe like washing the dishes instead of sticking them in the dishwasher, those types of things. So I'd love for us, when we get to there in a minute or two and we open it up, what other things could we think of? Like, I know in the olden days when they didn't have all these handy machines, how did they do the laundry? And, they were scrubbing it and they were twisting it and, rinsing it and doing all the things. And this technology per se, or these advancements in technology, have really taken a lot of that away from us. And, kind of a lazy way to do things, just throw it all in the dishwasher and, put the soap in and go. Whereas before, you were standing and washing and rinsing and drying and definitely burning more calories in that manner. So that one was interesting to me, because I thought, oh, wow, we really have changed that a lot. And even the jobs that we have by sitting at desks instead of farming, and, all of that has changed to work against our favor. And so it, something to take note of. If you are, let me go to the next screen, if you would, please. This one was really intriguing to me. I had to look at it and read it and go to the book and come back to it. And if you've ever seen this, it's actually the Optavia Nautilus. Our logo is really where this basis comes from. So you're going to have, 8 hours of healthy sleep. But if you look at what all the blue portion says, it's neat, 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 neat. So basically from the time you wake till the time you're in bed, you're really having that neat exercise, all that whole time. And he said, ideally, if you will stand every 20 minutes, especially if you're at a desk job, then it will actually lower your risk for heart disease. So if you find yourself at a desk job, set a timer. I know we're great with timers, right? We set them for our fuelings and our water and all the things, picking up kids and, laundry and dinner and all. If you can somehow give yourself that reminder, however it is that triggers your, if you use a calendar, electronics on your phone or whatever, every 20 minutes to stand, it will actually lower your risk of heart disease. And I thought, wow, that's really, really impactful, because how easy is that? I would have to go back and see how long you need to stand for. I didn't read that part, or I did. If I did, it didn't stick in my brain. I'm sure I did, or if it even said. But what I'd like you to do is to look over these pages with the S's, the 342 to 347, the 6 S's of success. And I would like for you to look at the journal, look at the questions it's asking. What do you think would interest you that you could do and to start incorporating? It's asking us to dance, like in our homes. Find a time. I mean, you can go to dance classes if you want to, but find a time to lighten the load and be silly and just get that movement in. Grab your spouse or whatever it is. Dance with your kids, or And I was reading through it. I thought, how fun is that, and how unexpected would that be in your household? But how much fun and laughter it would bring in if we started applying some of these things. So, if you will, take a minute or two right now and go through and just kind of review these pages in the sense of what do you think you could start incorporating in these 6 S's. And then in just a minute, we're going to share what we're willing to do to put some of this into motion, for our goals for this next week. So I'm gonna give you a couple minutes just to glance that over and start setting some things for yourself, getting some ideas in your head. And we know there's a special coach out there who has some really great dance moves at convention. Sarah Sparks.
Can I share a funny story, or do you want me to zip it and tell it later?
Give us 1 minute and absolutely. Yep. Let them just kind of review it over real quickly. And yes, I'd love to know the funny story. Okay, Sarah, I'm going to give you that chance to share your funny story.
I came home from convention and we left almost immediately to go to Hilton Head. While I was gone, my youngest was at preschool and she was dancing away and we saw the video. And she is like doing cross-country skiing and she's shaking the shakers and she's getting really into it. And all the rest of the kids were like, yay, like not at all excited. And I thought, oh gosh, should I be worried about like her having like ADHD, or is she like hyper, or like what's going on? And then Renee posted a video of me at like the Hawaiian party. And I'm just like, I'm going at it and everybody else is just kind of like at 50%. I'm like, and I'm like, oh yeah, okay, now I know where she gets it from.
That's great. You're burning more calories than the rest of us, right? And so is she. It'll keep her healthy. I love it because she's what a great message, because what we're emulating for them is what they're going to do, and that's not a bad thing. To be excited and enjoying and more active, then that's fantastic. I love it. Thank you for sharing that with us. That's fantastic. On page.
I even do dancing while I hand wash the dishes. So.
That's great. I love it. Well, on page 350, it's going to ask us, there goes all my notes on the floor. I guess we don't need those. It's going to ask us about our extra neat month 1, month 2, month 3. So as you're setting these goals, continue into the next pages, 350, 351, and it's going to ask you about your outcome. How did you do? What are your goals? You know, those kinds of things. And it's going to take ownership of what you're planning and then to evaluate how did that go. So don't be shy about looking into those pages. All right, so let's get off of the PowerPoint, if you would, please, honey. And as we have just a couple more minutes before we wrap up, I would like to know just a couple ideas of what you saw, either out of how many things you checked off that you were surprised that you had more than you thought, or was there 1 or 2 that stood out that you said, I can implement that. I want to try that this next week. So who's ready to share?
Well, I'd like to share one thing real quick. Just if you notice when you're looking at the different, the different S's, the Samba, the 6 S's of success, underneath each one of them is a target goal. And also wanted you to know that you can download more of those charts. So for some of you that really want to track this, you can download those charts at habitsofhealth.com. And that's where they have the 1 month, the 2 month, and the 3 month tracker. So if it's something you're really trying to add back into your health journey, maybe you just start off on the 5 and 1 and you're not doing a ton of exercise, we can always start tracking NEAT for sure. But you can download those charts there at the habitsofhealth.com.
Yes, thank you, Kelly, for that. And also, if you're going to start with the EAT type exercise, where you're really intentionally going to an exercise class several times a week, or an exercise walk or whatever it is, and you're burning 350 to 400 calories or more, and you're starting to get into a habit of it, please reach out to your health coach, because that's when we need to have a dialogue with you about perhaps what plan you're on, and making sure that we have you on the right plan to sustain the exercise that you're doing, so that you don't burn your muscle, that you burn your fat, and that you still have great success in your weight loss. And so don't think you're sneaking around, because the minute, oh, I forgot to tell you 6 weeks ago, and they're wondering, people wonder why they're not losing like they were. And it's really their body is kind of in that starvation mode, or they're not getting enough because now they've upped their exercise. So usually the first question we ask as a health coach is, What are you doing at this point for exercise, if anything? And that usually clues us in that, oh, you need a little bit more food. We need to sustain you with perhaps having that dialogue with your coach. It's never a bad thing. Don't let it scare you at all, because when you're ready physically and mentally and emotionally to take that step, fantastic. We're never going to discourage you from wanting to get into motion, but just in the regular NEAT type of motion, you're fine on whatever program you're on to be doing those activities. It's if you want to up it to the next level that we really need to have that conversation with you all. So is there anyone who is willing to say how they're going to implement something this next week? We have time for one.
I will, standing while making calls.
Oh, I love it.
realize I sit far too much, that I'm not giving up enough at all. And I was like, oh, wow. All right. So standing while I'm making calls.
Yes.
We'll see how that
appreciate
goes.
That. That is a good one. That's a great reminder, probably for all of us who are helping people, who sit a lot during the day, is that 20 minutes or, that standing that is every 20 minutes is such a critical thing. And that's actually the same one I'm going to implement, because I get in the zone of calling and calling and calling and calling, and supporting, but then, it's 5 hours later, I'm still in the same spot, drinking my water, or whatever. So yes, that's a great one. Well, we appreciate your time. We want to honor it. We're so glad that you have joined us. And if you have any questions about any of it, you can go back and watch the recording, or you can reach out to the health coach that invited you on this evening. So thank you guys so much. And we will see you next week for Element 18. Have a great night.
Bye, guys.